Hello, everyone. Thank you for being to another episode of Unlucky Gamers News. Because in this game, we will still talk, me and Uriel, but in this case, we're talking about news. And as you can see today, it's kind of like the start of a new era. We can even call it the second season of Unlucky Gamer Talks and Unlucky Gamer News because we are on a Wednesday. We are on a Wednesday and we are on a weird time. So now, just in case this is the first time that you're following us, I am Diego Ricuti and I'm with Uriel. And this is Unlucky Gamer News and Unlucky Gamer Talks, which is a very friendly and chit chat podcast in which me and Uriel discuss about video game news and video games in general. I am a creative director and game designer with 16 years of experience. I have wrote books, I am teaching, but the last game that you might have played or know from me is Star Overdrive for Nintendo Switch and A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Uriel. I'm a game designer and a producer. The last game I shipped was with White Pointer and it was Dino Path Trail. And right now I'm working on something that I can still not announce. So for now it will remain just this.
That's a cool one, and I'm sure that when Uriel will be able to announce it, he will tell us.
Yeah.
And if this is the first time, feel free to say hi, feel free to chit chat, feel free to, interact in any way you want because this is a super friendly. And as I say, this is kind of like the second season, if we want. Of course, today is a special day in the sense that we're doing this in a weird hour. Usual time is 1 hour later, but life, work, things. It was 2 weeks that we didn't have any episode because once again life and weeks and stuff, and so from now on it will be Wednesday and it will be 1 hour from now. Today is just a special. This will be the new schedule. And I see someone is following us. Once again, thank you for following us. Feel free to say hi, feel free to interact in the way that you want. So what we are discussing today is something that we wanted to discuss 3 weeks ago, but
Life
we couldn't.
happens.
Yeah, shit happens. And is Silksong, biggest game of basically the month. And for some people, biggest game of the year. And for some people, already contender of game of the year. And so, do you want to start, Uriel, or I start?
Yeah, I will start from something that is not necessarily about Silksong, but about what you just said. That it's super interesting that we had like a few years in video game industry where products came out, but there were not so many super interesting products. And this year it still didn't end, and we already have Clear Obscure and Silksong that are fighting as two of the biggest contenders for Game of the Year.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
on that, sorry to interrupt you, then I will need to
don't
continue.
worry.
Even if I don't think it's on the say it's contender for Game of the Year, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is another great game that came out in 2025. I think in general, 2025 has been a fantastic year for video game on quality side.
Mm. Yeah, and there is another game that could have been on that list, but sadly, from what I'm hearing, it will not be. That is Borderlands 4.
Oh,
It
yes.
could have been there, but too many
Yes.
issues.
And I am so sad about that because I'm a huge Borderlands fan. And me and Uriel played Tiny Tina's. We
Yeah,
never talk about Tiny Tina's, I think.
we
We
should
did.
talk
We
about.
should talk about
Yeah,
Tiny Tina. And of course, I'm the hugest fan of Handsome Jack, which once again they didn't bring back to life, and I hate that so much. Just bring back Handsome Jack to life. I don't care. Just say somehow it happens. They did it in Star Wars. If you do
exactly.
it in Borderlands, it's okay. Everyone will accept it. It's not gonna be bad. But yeah, the situation on Borderlands is just the fact that it's such a bad optimization. It's a terrible optimization. I'll buy it, but I don't know, in 1 year when it will be DLC plus optimization and things like that.
Mhm. Okay, so
Silksong.
we already derailed the conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
classic.
Silksong. I think that most of the people that work in the game industry or that are just video gamers know about this game at this point. It
Yeah.
was first announced in 2019, so a few years ago at this point. It's the following chapter of Hollow Knight, an indie game that completely blew up
Absolutely.
the industry at the time. It redefined or at least imposed itself in the Metroidvania genre. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that Silksong was the most anticipated game in this period.
Oh,
Um,
by far. There's literally no other game like Silksong on the hype level.
mm,
And you said something super important. And this is one of the points I want to discuss. Less on the game and also a bit on this, which is it was announced in 19, which is 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. It's 6 years. And if we count the release of Hollow Knight, it's 7 years in the sense of when it started typing. So there are not so many games that can survive 7 year hypes. And there is even less games that can have 7 year hype and actually deliver on that. Because
yeah,
that is the thing.
yeah, I
That
think
is the
this last
huge
point is the biggest difference.
is
Because I can think of a couple of examples. There are not so many, but we have like Cyberpunk that also was announced a long time before. We
but
have
it didn't deliver.
yeah,
Doesn't
Newcomb, if I
start.
remember correctly, the announcement was a long time before the, but
It was a
they
long time,
both
yes.
didn't deliver,
No,
and Silksong did.
that's right. And I think this is something incredibly interesting first, because it is really incredibly interesting that they managed to deliver. And of course, I'm not saying that every game has the lack of still sound to be able to work for 7 years on the projects the way they wanted with a community that is so dedicated to the project that they simply, you know, just have that. But there's something that I want to say, which I think is super important, which is how they one of the things they did it is that Silksong is Hollow Knight. It's not a different game. It's not a different genre. It's not a different style. It's basically Hollow Knight. It's what you will expect from a 2 years after sequel, but 7 years. And I think this is one of the reasons of the success. It's just Hollow Knight better,
Mm.
which is a not an easy thing to say. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's just Hollow Knight better. And everyone that loved Hollow Knight and waited 7 years to play Hollow Knight better, now they're happy. They're playing Hollow Knight better. Also, someone is watching us, so thank you for watching us. Thank you for joining us on this special, super weird Wednesday wrong time element. If you're new, feel free to say hi, to chit chat with us. We're discussing about Silksong. And I was saying that I'm surprised about how successful it was and the fact that is basically Hollow Knight 2.0.
Mm. And there are so many things tied to this strange gap between the announcement and the actual release. The first two that comes to mind are one, the actual development process. Why did it take so much time to come out? And the second one is the marketing approach that they took, because this is something extremely unique to this title. They announced the game with the trailer in 2019 and they completely disappeared for the following how many years did we say? 6 years.
Yes.
Up until like oh well, tomorrow the game will come out, save the date.
Oh yes, it
But
was every Nintendo Direct. Oh, this is the Nintendo Direct that will have Silksong announced.
yeah, and for most games a marketing strategy like this one now, I don't think it
No.
would work. So what do you think made this special case work?
That's like the $1 million question, to be
Yeah.
honest. Um, I want to stay, and I use this word that is a strong word, but I don't want to use this word in a bad way. So please, for the people that are watching me, understand that. Hollow Knight as a cult. Okay, in the same way that From Software has a cult, and in the same way that Half Life has a cult. So certain IPs, certain projects. I say IP because also happens in movie and in TV and things like that. I mean, I was part of the Lost cult. I was there. I was 100% into Lost so much. I have no idea how much I was into the cult. I could have killed for that.
We'll talk
So
about that sometimes. I'm curious.
yes, we have to. I still have like some of my notification are the sound of Lost, like
Really?
so. Just to give an idea. So some IPs generate this cult, this basically endless love for this media product, because at the end of the day, this is what it is. And how it happens, there are theories, many theories about it. For example, one of the elements that all these kind of cult things have in common that it's a new IP. So you don't develop a cult at the second game. You started developing already at the first, maybe the second game or the second movie. Increase the cult, but usually happens at the start of new IPs. So there's already a point. And I say it's transmediality, so it doesn't happen to it's multimediality, not transmediality. It happens on different things. Usually high quality is involved. So the product that start the cult, it's usually something that it's high quality. Yeah, Hollow Knight is a fantastic game. It's a great game. It's a difficult game, absolutely, but it's a great game. And once again, Half Life is a great game. So all these elements have this quality concept in common, and they usually also have in common the idea of being unique. So they have this like at the time there was something about them that was unique, and Hollow Knight was being 2D. Metroidvania Souls like 2D was something that was rare. Now it's very common, Almost every roguelike it's 2D. Many Souls are 2D, but he was the first. Now there is this other secret element that no one knows. That is the truth. Um, how do you keep the cult alive for 7 years without information? Because that's the other thing, It's not like dropping because that's community management. If you drop bits, that's community management. How do you keep a cult alive for 7 years without any form of communication? That's the $1 million question. And honestly, I don't have the answer. I would love to because I will have $1 billion. Basically, I will teach that to other people. But I don't have, and I think we can discuss it. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I agree with your cult theory. I think they did a great job of cultivating the community during with the first title, and they got an extremely loyal community with Hollow Knight. There is the famous channel. It's a meme channel on YouTube that every single day for the last 6 years posted the news about Silksong, a video every single day. Day 134 of waiting for Silksong news, none. Up until the day where he finally was able
We finally had the
to
news.
and yeah, and to be that loyal and that consistent in doing something, it means that you are representing a community that is very, very on point, and well, loyal is the only word that really comes to mind for this. Um, and if that represents the community, I'm not that surprised that they managed to keep the interest alive for all of this time. We never stopped hearing about Silksong in these years. I didn't play Hollow Knight up until this summer, like a couple of months before the announcement. It was a pure coincidence. So I wasn't an Hollow Knight player. I'm not into Metroidvania. I actually don't really like the genre. I'm rediscovering it, but I wasn't a fan. And I still knew about Silksong, and I still heard constantly about Silksong in my social bubble, etc. So if the buzzing about that game reached a person that was absolutely not in the genre, that means that they have kept talking about Hollow Knight and Silksong for a very long time.
Yes, for sure. On
Um,
that, I absolutely agree.
I think that's the core reason why this was possible. About how they managed to create the conditions to make this possible, I have no idea.
That's an interesting question. And you see, for me, you said something important, which is they cultivated the community at first, and for sure that's his point. Okay, so community management. I don't know. Today we are discussing a bit more about on the marketing side instead of games and things like that. But I think it's interesting,
Yeah.
and for sure they cultivated the community. But many games cultivate the community. There are games that have longer or and stronger community that I think will not have this type of result. And so I think community, yes, it's a point, but it can't be the distincting point of, oh, they did have the good community management and they had the community. Same also goes for the quality of the game because we started that saying that this year we had fantastic games. And if now they announce Claire Obscure, I don't know, the Writer War, because, that's kind of like what they talk in the thing. I don't think we'll have the same level. Also, I think people will have, of course, waited for it. They will like, oh shit, Claire Obscure, the Writer War, so cool, fantastic, blah, blah. But I don't think we'll have 7 years of potential. Even if Claire Obscure treat, um, I don't know, treat a very complex theme because it can, theme of grief and the death in general, which is a very complex and very human and recognizable thing. Everyone had dying people, basically. That's the concept of and accepting death as sadly part of life. So I think this happens in movies and in video games when some elements of your product resonate with the culture at the time, and it's something that you cannot predict. It's something like, I'll go into media. And one of the things people they say in media is that media reflects the value of society. Okay, that's one of the concepts. That's actually I don't know. I never told you that. Maybe you will. Do you know why Japan became so obsessed with the kawaii? Basically, all the culture of anime, kawaii, and cartoons and things like that.
No, I don't think you've told me.
Okay, there is a very specific reason, and it happened after World War II. So Japan is an isolistic place. Okay, it's an isolated island, very strong on their foundation. And during World War II, we're also famous for kamikaze, which was a perfect example of strength. You are so loyal to your country that you literally sacrifice yourself in a voluntary act because, going to war is a potential sacrifice, but kamikaze is a literal sacrifice. I am actually doing that. And after the atomic bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the death of countless life, terrible moment, of course, Japan and the Japan politics find themselves in a very difficult conundrum, which was we cannot push the same propaganda as before. Propaganda of Japan, where we have the samurai, we have the warrior, undefeated, 3,000 history of, blade mastery. And of course, that could have been not pushed anymore because of, we basically just got obliterated by technology. We lost also someone else is watching us. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to say hi and chit chat with us. And so Japan moved from a warrior propaganda to a kawaii propaganda, being nice with each other because, of course, it was necessary to rebuild the country after the destruction. So instead of being be proud, be a warrior was be kind, help other, be a nice person, enjoy being weak. Because in this moment, you needed people to not feel bad for being weak, for have lost. And that's evolved into the kawaii, basically, Japanese society that we have now. So the media reflects the value. The value now, the value at the time were being nice, be kind, don't be afraid of being weak, and they evolved into the anime and this element and stuff like that. And actually, that's something that I also saw in my travel in Ukraine, because in Ukraine, I went to Ukraine 2 times, so people didn't know it during this war. And there is a lot of propaganda about be brave, Ukraine. Bravery is in our blood. Be strong as a Ukrainian. Never give up, I think so. Because, of course, it's a moment of war. So the value that they're trying to push is a value of resilience. As in Italy, we happened that. We had be resilient, la resilienza, as in Italian, during the time of COVID. So media tend to represent value. During the time of Superman, Superman was this perfect human being because he was an inspiration. And that's the concept of Superman. Was in the moment of America is called the Great Cauldron, and it was a moment of great conflict, which is happening again now on the racial and many levels. And Superman was created to that to show, hey, he's an immigrant, but he can be the best American. He can be this Superman in the literal sense of be a superhuman, not in the sense of strength, but in the sense of values. And of course, you see that with books and everything when people feel insecure and whatever. And so for me, this cult that came from Hollow Knight must have some values. Hollow Knight must show some values that at the time that Hollow Knight came out must have been incredibly resonating with the culture and the needs of the audience at that time. That's my theory on this.
Yeah, it would make sense. Um yeah, I don't know. I was thinking while you were speaking about another example of a game that was announced a long time ago, and it didn't come out yet, but we are still waiting. That is The Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh, of course.
So I'm trying to
But
make
do you
sense.
feel the same level? Because I don't see the same.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not the same level, not the same kind of attachment and of waiting quality, if
Yes,
we
exactly.
want
For
to
me,
call it
when I
like that.
think the Elder Scroll, I think, oh, it's gonna be so bad.
Exactly. The expectation is very different. The only thing in common is that we are still talking about that, and we are still waiting.
It's true. That is
Um,
true. That is true.
so yeah, I was trying to think of something that the games or the situations had in common, but honestly, I think they are two very different cases, and our answer will not come from this comparison.
Oh, well, I
Um,
think that there is, I mean, for me, one element that is, first of all, it's very interesting what you said. It's super interesting. And of course, as always, the audience wants to chit chat with us, please. Right?
mhm.
My expectation is low on the Elder Scroll because, of course, Bethesda didn't show me anything amazing in the last year. When I played Oblivion, I was super hopeful for Skyrim. When I saw Skyrim, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be so great. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be the best thing ever. When I saw Starfield,
Starfield.
I knew it was going to be bad. Okay. Well, it was clearly also because we work in the industry, we can kind of recognize certain element. But in any case, even when it was announced and it was announced as NASA Punk, I was like, oh, that's such a bad. It's clearly a sign of weakness. So I think because of that, my expectations are bad. By basically, it's just like okay, I'm not expecting good things. I have bad expectancy for that quality just because. I've not had great expectancy in the company itself.
Mm.
That is one part.
Yeah. Uh, well, there are so many speculation that we could do about this point, but I think that
Mhm.
it would be just that speculation.
Yes, it's true.
So,
It's true. It's true.
since we also have some other stuff that could be interesting to talk
Yeah,
about,
yes,
maybe we can move on.
absolutely. Please.
So yeah, the other point about this long wait was the actual production time. So it was 7 years of production time.
It
They
was.
actually worked and developed the game for all of this time. And as you said before, this is Hollow Knight. They
It is one.
already had most of the systems and the principle, the design principle. Most A lot of stuff was probably already there.
Um,
So someone could have thought, okay, this is going to be an easy development, 1 year, a couple of years, as you said, but it wasn't.
no, it was
So
not. Not at
how
all.
could this happen? What happened? Of course, we cannot know exactly what happened, but we once again we can speculate and try to think
Absolutely.
about what could have happened along the way. So what they have said, it was that it was not the problem of overscoping, it was not the problem of bad management, it was a fact of we want to make a good game. We do not have the pressure to release it anytime soon. We will take all of the time that we need and that we want to take, not just the time that we need, but the time that we want to take to make this game exactly what we want to make. Now,
Exactly.
this is obviously a marketing statement.
Of course.
It's probably at least partially true,
Mhm.
but I don't expect it to be like 100% true. Because in any development there will be problems. I mean, we know
Of
it.
course.
It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. So I expect in seven
Yes,
years
yes.
there will
And it
be
doesn't matter
many
how good
problems.
you are. You know, you can be the
Yeah.
best developer in the world. You will have problem. It's the
Mhm.
nature of creativity.
Yeah, and I mean, we started the today's episode with the phrase "life happens."
Exactly.
It's also true in developing. Life happens. Someone will get married. Someone will have child. Someone could be sick. Just stuff happens
It is.
along the way. So I'm pretty sure they had some slowing moment during development. But I hope and I think it can be true that they actually took most of the time because they wanted to take the time, and they obviously had the possibility to take the time because
Exactly.
most people and most project will not have this choice.
Exactly. This is a point that I want to go super hard,
Hmm.
which is if you follow me on any of the social that I have, you probably heard me saying that if you want to make a good game, not necessarily money, I'm talking about a good game, you need to be a private company in video game. Because stock market and quarterly reports don't work with video games by nature. Exactly. This is exactly. Hi, John. Thank you for following up. And that's what I want you to reach exactly this point. They are a private company, which it's actually a fairly small company compared to many of the other companies in the video game industry. And they made shit tons of money. Now, I'm not using this, terminology just to, no, it's because they made shit tons of money. And they wanted to make a work of art. Now, I use this word in a specific way. I'm not saying work of art as the game is art, but they wanted to make a work of art in the sense of they wanted to make something until, from their point of view, was perfect. And this is a situation that basically every artist or creative person in the world desire, and almost no one has. So sure they had problems. I'm 100% sure they had problems. I literally had zero idea that they had that they had, zero problem. But they wanted to make something perfect for their point of view, something that was absolutely fantastic from they wanted to do, and they had this possibility. And the only thing I can say as a game designer is that I envy their position. I'd love to be in their position. And I'm happy that they have been, not corrupted by money. Let's say, oh, now let's make more money. That's something difficult. Don't get me wrong; it's not easy to do. A lot of people
Try
do it.
and fail.
Exactly, tried and failed. Not everyone is immune to the pleasure of money. And as John said, also, and I think this is super important. Then we'll let you talk. They gave them the leisure to let life, and this is super important because life is difficult. Making games is difficult. I actually quoted John 3 weeks ago. Everyone will make games unless game was the hardest job in the world. And I think John is correct in that. And most of the time, game is a super difficult job. And making something super difficult that's supposed to be creative, it's even harder than already because you need to be creative while at the time you have to not explode from stress and many other elements. It's tough. It's difficult. And that's why people that stays 10 or more years in the industry, like me and John, and in the future you, are called veterans because it's a war. It's really surviving war. That's literally is the only industry where they're called veterans. And the other people are called expertise, senior. The word veterans specifically, it's for that reason. So I envy them absolutely, and they had the possibility to not have this stress and concentrate on what they want. Uh, the fact that they had a cult made them able to be sure that whatever they were making will be a sell. Maybe it would not have been good review, which instead he had, but they had the absolute certainty of selling.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I totally agree. I think it's absolutely not easy to do what they did.
No,
And even if you have all of these possibilities and time and money, creating a video game, we know it very well, it's a constant compromise.
it is.
Because unless you're doing it as a hobby, a passion,
Okay, yes, of
so
course.
you are doing whatever you want. It's purely an authorial form of art. It's not a problem. But if you are doing it as a job and they have a team, the core team in Team Cherry is just 3 people, but I think that they collaborate with some at least some other stuff. So still, you have the responsibility to be able to pay their salaries and to keep all of the society, the company um, standing. So you need to not only think about what you want to do, but also what will work. So I love and I totally envy that they were able to mix these two perfectly. So probably
Mhm.
what they wanted to do was extremely similar to what the industry wanted, not the industry, but the consumers wanted. But that's still something that they had to keep in mind during the
Mhm.
whole development process. And as you said, Diego, they were not greedy. The primary thought during development was not how can we do more money, and this is extremely rare. And the proof of this is the price at which they
It's
released the game. Nowadays, many games goes for $80. Not indie. Usually, indie goes from 20 to 40. Obviously, also less, but that's the range. And they positioned Silksong at $20. Uh, I'm pretty sure they knew that most of the fandom would have bought the game also for $40 without
yes,
blinking
absolutely.
an eye. But still, they released the game at
Oh, there is
twenty
a lot of
dollars.
people watching us.
This
Sorry to
is
interrupt you.
hi everyone.
Hi,
Uh,
everyone. Feel free to say hi and chit chat with us. Oh, probably because this is normally the time. We reach the time that we
you're right.
usually.
We were going to start in a few
Yes.
minutes. So this is something that goes against the trend. the price range at which they released. But I want to make 2 points about this. One, this is lovely because it's proving that it's not necessary to make the game cost so much, um, and two, because I'm pretty sure that, well, no, I'm not pretty sure, I know it because we know the numbers. They have, let me read it, they had a peak of 587,000 concurrent players on Steam. So I know that they made a lot of money, even
Oh, for
if
sure.
it was just $20. Um, so especially in a time like this, I think it's super interesting, this kind of choice, and it's even more strange considering that the development time was so long. So they had to recover a lot of costs because it's something to have like a couple of years of development cost to sustain. It's another to pay for sustain and re-enter and recover from the cost of a 7 years production. That's that's a lot.
Yes. And on this, I want to say that for sure, they knew they would have sold millions of copies, so they went for volume instead of price. But still, I agree with you. They could have easily put it at $30, even 40, and everyone would have bought it. Especially after everyone, complaining about the $80 price of other games, including Borderlands that we're setting at the start. So $40 or even $30 would have sounded still super good compared to these other projects. And this also raised a question about price in gaming, which I don't think is now the time, but we can focus on one day on discussing about that. And now, in general, even $80, which don't take me wrong, I'm not necessarily pro against the $80 game. Uh, it's still super low compared to the amount of time. If you change the dollars to hours, it's low. John asked us, could the game have been ready 2 years ago, but the industry was so unstable and Naughty decided to not release? Yeah, exactly. They had the luxury. I fully agree with you, John. I think they could have even released the game in 1 year if they follow standard game procedures. So hiring more people, go into full production, potentially do crunch and things like that. Especially because, as Uriel said, the game is Hollow Knight. There's not any difference. It's Hollow Knight out there, but it's Hollow Knight conceptually in everything. It's literally, we could call it an asset flip. It's not an asset flip, but conceptually speaking, we could even argue that. Of course, it's not, but you just understand how that. So they could have done it, but they had the luxury to do whatever they want because they had basically infinite money. Uh, and this is not something that everyone has. But once again, even if you have infinite money, have the mind to be sane with infinite money is not easy. This actually is a very common thing. A lot of people that win lotteries in 2 years become poor again because basically money goes over their head. They don't know how to handle that amount of money. They basically consider, I don't know, I want 100 million euros. I'm basically forever rich, which is not. You can be forever rich if you are smart. They wasted in stupid shit for 2 years and then they become poor again. Uh, they could have happened the same thing to them. Instead, they have been very, very organized and very good and very, in general, business savvy. Because at the end of the day, for me, this is the concept. They have been very business savvy, which is something that, I mean, me and John wrote a book about it on how it's not easy to be business savvy and to understand that. So it's something that I consider very difficult, super difficult in many. And of course, now everyone is asking when is going to be the third one, you know? And they didn't release yet. And if we have to, speculate, it will be in 10 years because uh, usually take more and more time to do it. So I don't think we will see it for a long, long time. It's like One Piece. It's forever going. It will never end. But still, um, also the courage of being exactly Hollow Knight, I think is incredibly interesting. There are a lot of games that because they are in development for many, many years, they try to evolve and become other thing because in the meantime, the trending change and everything. And Silksong did not. It's literally Hollow Knight. I am Hollow Knight Arder, and that's what people wanted, and that's what I am. And still, this is once again a luxury, but also a great statement of understanding the IP.
Yeah, and this is something that many products in the industry are having troubles with because we are seeing more and more again that all the IPs are losing their core values. They
Absolutely.
are changing, and then we are surprised when either the audience don't accept the new stuff, or that just the customer changes. So, for example, with this is actually a good example, God of War. In the new chapters, the game was very different from a genre point of view from the first trilogy, and but they were still great games. So the customers changed, the target audience changed, but they still um, found a new target audience. I think Assassin's Creed had a little bit more is having a little bit more problems
Assassin's
with
Creed
this.
is letting a lot of problem back.
Yeah, because they did something in a way similar. So the game changed a lot during the years, but differently from God of War, they didn't find a proper target audience, and there are still people complaining about the new
Absolutely.
direction that the saga.
I can talk for hours on that. And I want to give a good example on it, which is I will always say that the best example to say how to evolve your brand is Yakuza and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza had 7 game. Then they introduced Yakuza Like a Dragon as a spin-off. Then they did Yakuza Like a Dragon 2. And now Yakuza Like a Dragon and the main character of Yakuza Like a Dragon is evolving into the main character of Yakuza. And it will eventually become Yakuza main character in a way that it's not annoying for me, a fan that played all the 7 games and love Yakuza. I would love to work on Yakuza, by the way. Someone is watching. I am the perfect creative director for Yakuza. I have so many crazy ideas. But no, joke aside.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think one of the key points is to be respectful of what people.
exactly.
You've told to me about some of this, so I think it would be super interesting if you want to say a few things about this
Oh,
right now.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, hi, Diner. First of all, thank you for joining us. As I said, today is a weird day and a weird time. So next week will be normal time and this day because we're changing the day. So, it's special second season stuff like that. So Yakuza is technically made by Sega as a company. Now there is actually a specific company in Sega that make it, but it's basically connected to the Sega brand. In fact, inside Yakuza there are a lot of retro gaming of of Sega, in which you can go inside the cabinet and play Sega retro gaming. It's a classic thing, but um, yes, it's being respectful. It's being respectful of the time. It's very respectful of the IP. It's really that. It's basically when you can create something, you don't have to destroy what's before. That's the difference. You can build upon and change things, even in a drastical way, like God of War does. But God of War builds upon, it doesn't destroy. The perfect example is the scene in which Kratos go back and take the Blades of Chaos. Well, the new Kratos is a new Kratos. It's literally a new Kratos. It's not clear how much time has passed. Since he's basically an immortal god, it could have been hundreds of years, or maybe only 40, who knows. But he goes back and he has to go back to the Blades of Chaos. And he does it for a new reason, but he feels the pain of the Blades of Chaos. And that's a fantastic scene that builds upon what's before. And same does Yakuza Like a Dragon, in which builds upon the main character of the previous, which in the Yakuza Like a Dragon is basically an unbeatable boss. So you are the new guy and you face the old guy, and the old guy beat the shit out of you and tell you, ah, you're not so bad. And so, it's kind of like this baton pass. It's like, okay, you are not strong as me because I'm basically Kiryu. I'm a living legend, unbeatable. It's basically Superman because if you play Yakuza like now, Kiryu is Superman basically. But you can beat the other guy. I can build upon the other guy. So this is super important. And Silksong does that actually because Silksong you play of course as Hornet, and Hornet it's weaker than Hollow Knight. It's a de facto concept in the lore of Hollow Knight, at least at the start. And that's why the game is harder. And you actually can make the game easier in Silksong if you find the knight equipment which change Hornet's movement into Hollow Knight movement, or the knight, because technically Hollow Knight is a different character from the knight in Hollow Knight. And the game become easier because you move as Hollow Knight. And that is because Hollow Knight, because you move as the knight in Hollow Knight. Sorry, it's confusing. Hollow Knight is technically another character. You are the knight in Hollow Knight. So Hornet is weaker. She knows that. So you know that the knight is stronger. And the game is more difficult because your player as Hornet, which has a more complex movement pattern that can become easier if you unlock the knight trinket, which give you the knight from Hollow Knight movement, and this makes the game easier, explaining basically that you got kind of like his power, his energy, and that makes you stronger. And that is a super incredible small detail, but fantastic on how they connected lore to just the desire to make the game more difficult, but respecting the character and also adding an easy mode in the game. Well, it's not easy, it's easier mode in the game, which also respect the brand because you say, oh, it's of course it's easier because now I am kind of like the knight, and the knight was stronger.
Super interesting. I didn't know that.
Right, it's a fantastic detail. I played it, and Hornet, it's a fantastic cat, but it's more difficult because she moved worse than All Knight. She moved diagonally. And of course, it's more difficult to do jumping and fighting when your character doesn't do that, but does this. It's diagonal. It's more complex. It's just by nature. It's a very it's detailed to show the passion and they wanted to respect the brand that they created. Of course, it's easier to respect a brand when you created the brand because you probably know it. But still, once again, there are plenty of brands that destroyed themselves even when the creator was on top of it. So it's not that just automatically, oh, it's my brand, so I know what to do. It's not so easy, I say. So it's
Uh,
super interesting. And well, we're basically time. Yeah, no, we are over the time. We are 48 minutes, so we kind of finish for today. Unless you have something else to say, Maria.
I have one question that I'm not sure how quick it is.
Okay,
I
that's
want
right.
to see if you have some kind of answer to this because I'm not that expert in the matter. So it's about Game Pass.
Oh,
So the game released day one also on Game Pass.
mm,
Now, when I was developing Dinopath Trail, we evaluated a lot of things, and among those, there also was the Game Pass, and I was trying to study and to get a hold of the situation. It was very, very complex because apparently at the start of the Game Pass, it was extremely good choice for developers to release there. But as time was going on, less and less every day. But they released also on Game Pass. Now, I think this may have something to do with what you said before. That is, they were going for quantity and not the price necessarily. So it could have been some way to reach an even wider area. But I want to know what you think about this.
okay. So I will go fast because it's a complex topic, and if
Yeah.
anyone watching us in the future, you want to me and Uriel deep dive into Game Pass, it's actually a very interesting topic.
Mhm.
And basically, what you say is 100% correct. So first, Game Pass started as a super good opportunity. Why? Any new platform is backed up by a big company because, of course, I can open Diego platform, but I am basically no one. So It means nothing. But a new platform from someone powerful is always a great opportunity. Be the first is always good. This is true from console too. If you are on the release of a console, you will sell. It's a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Your game can be shit, but it will sell.
I remember the first times with the Switch, it was the
Exactly.
indie paradise.
Exactly. So, in general speaking, every platform, every console on release, it's a fantastic marketplace because of a reason: lack of competition, basically. Basically. So, progressively, the Game Pass got worse and worse. And right now, the Game Pass is in a terrible spot for developer. Many developers don't want to go on Game Pass, and in fact, most game on Game Pass are game that have some sort of agreement with Microsoft. Like they got maybe development money, or they got special money in some way, and stuff like that. Basically, they got some publishing money and development money, and they are on the Game Pass of that. In fact, that is true for Silksong too, which everyone expected to be announced on Nintendo, and instead it was announced on Game Pass because they have an agreement. So that is also true for them. So why they got on Game Pass? First, they had agreement, and of course, an agreement with the console owner, because Microsoft is a console owner, order the Game Pass also is Xbox and everything. It's always great. Okay, if you are, doesn't matter if you are indie or AAA, you want to work with platform owner. That is the dream of every developer. Point. The only one that doesn't agreement as so far it's Steam. Who knows if in the future they will ever do that? But
It would be super interesting once to talk about Steam and
yes, for sure.
new Gabe and everything that is going on.
It is will be super interesting. So first that's second is exactly what you said again. It's about they wanted for numbers. They knew they had this cult. They knew they would have sold. So losing 50K, 100K of download and so payment for being on the path, that's absolutely acceptable for them. It's not a problem. Now, in general, the path is a bad choice in this moment for developer because first of all, it's not standardized. And this is very problematic for developer because means that every time you talk with Microsoft, you and me, let's say that we have two games and we want to go on the path, Microsoft could offer us completely different deals, basically. Which sounds great, but actually it's terrible because you never know how much money you can get out of it because every game is different. Second, the pass as is like sunken cost. Okay, this might sound super simple, but it is. When you buy a game, you have a sunken cost bias. So you are more propense to try a bit more because you spend game before asking even for refund. Even if you technically paid for the
The pass.
pass, the game you don't feel paying it. So you are missing the sunken cost point fallacy on that. Third, uh, the fact that you have access to a certain amount of games for free, which are probably good game because the past tends to still have good games, is actually bad because the point here, I am opening the past right now, okay, just right now, and I'm showing the last game, and they have Vision of Mana, Peppa Pig, Terminal Brigade, Swarm, Endless Legend 2, Hades, Wobbly Life, Deep Rock Galactic Survival, Raw Path Control, Silksong, Cataclysmo, Army of Beast, Call of Duty World War II, Gears of War Reloaded, Hurling, and Prince of Persia the Rogue.
Yeah, you are
And there are
competing
many
against
more.
all of those without the paywall.
Exactly. I don't exactly. If I'm an indie and I don't have the power of Silksong, it is one. There was a question of it is one. I don't want to face that. Okay. If I'm an indie and don't have the power of Silksong, I don't want to face without the paywall Hades or Deep Rock Survivor or Silksong or Call of Duty or Gears of War. I don't want not because I don't believe in my game. Okay, it's not a matter about my game is good or bad. It's a matter also of power.
Yeah.
Okay, just time slash power did this game have, and I don't. So that's why it's bad because you have, hey, look at my tiny indie game that may be super good for this niche, and maybe you might like it, and it costs €3.99, and you might have bought it, or €5 or €10 or 19.99, like Silksong, versus this game that costs €80. Well, I have the price advantage at least. If I don't have the price advantage,
I may
it's
not
a very
have
complex
any
thing.
other kind of advantage.
Exactly. Yes, you might like my game because you hate the other games and I'm precisely your game. Absolutely, don't get me wrong, of course. But in a mass market, I can't just believe that everyone on Game Pass will be my niche. It's like, oh, everyone on Game Pass is exactly loving your game. So that's why no one wants to be on Game Pass right now because you are removing the advantage of indies and you're telling them face the strongest game in the industry from the past because some of these games are from the past, like Gears of War Reloaded, uh, but without any advantage. It's it's just not a good deal, really.
Mm. Yeah, makes sense.
It's just that it's not a good deal to have.
Mm. Okay, so thank you for the answer, Diego. It was actually very insightful.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. I actually believe that the past has potential. Uh, and wait, there's one question. From this perspective, AAA games costing more is actually not bad for exactly is
Yeah.
exactly that. For indies, now it's the perfect time to be cheap
Mhm.
because you look way more intriguing
Yeah.
compared to that. But it's also true for console. Look how many people complain about the cost of the Switch 2. Cost is important. When you buy something, even if it's the best quality, money don't grow on tree. People have to think about what they spend their money. So for indie, it's super good to be cheap because you can say, hey, with $80, you can buy like maybe 5 indie. That's good for indies. That's an aggregate. Or maybe you will buy the $80 game. That's perfect too. It's I mean, I will always praise Steam Deck. Steam Deck is incredible and it's cheap. It's yes, I have it too. It's invisible here. So it's a fantastic console because of that. It's a very well thought console, by the way, incredibly well thought under many possibilities. So Game Pass remove that, and that's not a good decision for indies. For AAA, yes, for sure. For AAA, is just another marketplace.
Yeah.
But for indie, it's a very bad marketplace at the moment. Maybe in the future will change, and I hope it will change because I just want the industry to grow and to have more selling for everyone. So in general, for me, everything that makes it's cool. But at the moment, this is not a good place for indie, which is what it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
So thank you everyone that watched us on a weird day and a weird time. So every today is weirdness. And we jumped from actually palinfrasca, it says in Italy, because we started Silksong, then marketing, then gameplay, then Xbox, then
Yeah, touching Game of the Year, and
exactly,
now
yes, also touching game of the year. Yes, understand. So we did everything today. Thank you for following us. For future, will be Wednesday as today, but it will be at
8:30.
8:30 Italian time.
Yeah.
Uh, so we'll go back to the normal time, but different day. See you next time, and thank you for
Thank
participating.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.